You're listening to Menopause Natural Solutions, episode 84, Post-menopausal Concerns.
Welcome to Menopause Natural Solutions, your podcast for all things peri-menopause, menopause and beyond. Stay tuned as your host, naturopath Jennifer Harrington, explains how to use natural therapies to find your ultimate health and happiness during your transition.
Hi ladies, welcome back to Menopause Natural Solutions. I'm your host Jen, and today we're going to be talking about what happens after menopause. So for most women, menopause is a relief. After potentially years, maybe even a decade of perimenopause and its related symptoms of hormonal imbalance such as hot flushes, night sweats, insomnia, anxiety, you know the symptoms. The actual day, that is 12 months after your last menstrual bleed, is your official menopause moment. But menopause is just a moment, as once it has passed, you are now and forever in post-menopause. Congratulations! Yes, you have made it to the other side. Post-menopause can be the longest phase in a woman's life, and for the majority of women, it's the calm after the storm. Symptoms gradually disappear on their own, and most are symptom-free within 2 years. There are many things to look forward to at this stage of life. The British Office for National Statistics discovered the happiest women are aged between 65 and 79. While we are discussing British research, my favourite finding was by the English Longitudinal Study of Aging. And this found that women in their 80s have the best sex. It was reported that they found sex more emotionally fulfilling at this stage of life. I love it! But unfortunately, there are two subsets of women that don't follow this path. The first group stop menstruating, but their symptoms remain unchanged. The second group of women generally don't struggle in perimenopause, and their transition into menopause wasn't particularly difficult, but their symptoms started after 2 years post-menopause mark. For the first group of women who started having symptoms and remained symptomatic throughout the entire journey, I would consider what is happening with their hormone production and their hormone receptor function. Going through menopause, your ovarian production of hormone slows, but other parts of your body pick up this slack. The adrenal gland produce hormonal precursors such as androstenedione, DHEA, and DHEAS. These precursors are converted to estrogen and testosterone by the aromatase enzyme found in adipose or fat tissue. So body mass plays a big role with this conversion. If you are underweight, this conversion can't happen, and you are missing out on this very important source of sex hormones. As these sex hormone precursors are produced by the adrenal glands, it is very important to consider the role of your adrenal health, as the adrenal gland's main job is to produce your stress hormones. If you are chronically stressed, you may wear out your adrenal glands and they may not be able to keep up with production demands of the sex hormone precursors. Another problem is that high levels of stress hormones are an independent cause of hot flushes and night sweats. As we age, our hormone receptors are less likely to optimally function. Hormones need nutritional cofactors in order to bind to the receptors. And if your diet has been less than optimal, maybe you are deficient in some of these important nutrients. Things like zinc, magnesium, vitamin A, iodine, B vitamins. The other problem is that the longer we are on this earth, the more likely we are to have encountered hormonal receptor blockers. These toxins block hormones from being accepted by the receptor. An example of a receptor blocker includes environmental pollutants like xenoestrogens, like plastic and fragrances and pesticides and toxic metals. If you are experiencing menopausal symptoms years later, it's time for a deep dive into your general health. I would explore these areas: nutritional status, toxicity, particularly heavy metals, chemicals and mold, liver function, adrenal function, and I would make sure that you're not underweight. Now, our second group of women, these guys had an easier transition, but their health concerns started later on. In this group, I will look outside of the square to see what else could be causing their symptoms. Did they have a major stress? Is their thyroid functioning optimally? Could there be an undiagnosed diabetic? Have they been exposed to toxic substances that have blocked their hormone receptors? And it's also worth ruling out various cancers. Now let's go back and talk about all women in postmenopause, because for all women there are a handful of concerns that can be exacerbated postmenopause, and these include the genitourinary syndrome, and this can include vaginal dryness, urinary tract infections, incontinence, prolapse. My first port of call for any women that have this as a major concern is a trip to see a women's health pelvic physiotherapist. The next issue is osteoporosis. And if you haven't had a baseline DEXA scan yet, do not pass go. Do not collect $100. I'm sorry for the monopoly reference, but go and get one. And then go back and listen to episode number 17 on bone health. The final thing to be wary of is any kind of post-menopausal bleeds. So if you're having a menstrual light bleed and you've already passed menopause, it is very, very important that you go and get this checked out by a doctor. It could be nothing, but it can also be a sign of something more serious going on. So please take any kind of post-menopausal bleeds very seriously. And guys, I see postmenopause as being the end of a chapter and the beginning of a new one. Remember, this has the potential to be the longest phase in your life. Let's make it a good one, hey? This new chapter has the potential to be filled with health and happiness, and you deserve to have a quality life. So if you are struggling now, the roller coaster ride is supposed to be over. Reach out. My passion is really to dive deep and find the underlying cause of symptoms, so you have the best chance of turning your health around permanently. After all, you wouldn't build a house without strong foundations, so don't try and live a life without strong foundations to health. I consult with women all around the world, specifically on menopause and menopause-related issues. Why not you? Reach out if you need a hand. I would absolutely love to help see you live the life that you're meant to live, with the most health, the most happiness, and the quality of life that we all deserve. Until next week, bye for now. Thank you for listening to Menopause Natural Solutions. This podcast contains general information about menopause. It is provided as a guide and is not intended to replace medical advice. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a 5-star review.